Hi, this is going to be a walkthrough tutorial for how to prepare your content for the 9,000 pixel wide projection wall, panoramic wall at the Made in New York Center. So to ingest this into the Watchout system, we have to have 5 different files, and I'm going to show not only how to make this, but also how to convert content from the little bit larger IAC wall that is over on the West Side Highway. So this is specifically for a class called Big Screens, ITP, where they make content for the wall over the IAC building, and it is 11,520 by 1080, and the wall we have at IFC is, or sorry, at the Made in New York Center is 9,024 by 800, and this is PDF you should have been given when you are preparing your footage for the wall. And there's also a plasma screen wall that you need to crop your footage out for. It's 3 HD screens side by side, and by using this method I'll show you here, you should be able to handle that one no problem. This one's a little bit more difficult to do. Other things to note is that it needs to be H.264, a constant bit rate, and that's constant bit rate is 15 megabytes per second. And I'll show you all this in 1 second. So let's start with the IAC content. This piece is called dilation, and I have placed it here in the composition for the IAC, which is this 11,000, and we're going to bring it into this template of where the walls are, and these are some of the masks. Like this is the stairwell right here that you'll see when you go to the entrance, and so these are like the HVAC pipes, and this is showing you the masking of what won't be shown of your content, so you can align things correctly. The important wall for us is that this north wall on John Street is directly across from the plasma screens, and this is where the opening night is. This is where the event is. So we're going to take our content that was centered here in the center of the comp and kind of move it over and then tile the rest of the content back over to the other side, because you have to remember that this is a panoramic wall where this left side and this right side meet up exactly. And I'll show you in general how to do it, but I'm sure you're going to try to be a little more precise than I am. Alright, so we have this IC content right here, but I want to mark this center focal point. I want to know where it is visually, a visual reference, so I can line it up. I'm just going to take a rectangle tool, and I'm not going to double click and fill in the whole thing. I'm actually going to just draw it, and to show you that this is working, just draw it anywhere. I will click it once, there we go, turned on, and then I'll just make a little square. And that is not what I'm going to do at all. Do that. And do that. And do that. Okay, now we go. So now we have a little red square. Okay. And I'm going to go into this rectangle. And if I go to the transform, and I just zero out this position, it goes right in the center. So there we go. Now we know where the center of the bigger footage is. You can also do this as a reference point if you're just starting straight with a 9,000 pixel wide composition. So let's go ahead and bring in this composition underneath the wall locations, and we'll take the opacity down. The shortcut is T for opacity. And we'll bring it down to like 25%, so we can see it as a reference, but we can see our other footage better. And we're going to now scale down our IAC content to fill. S is the scale button, and I'm going to bring it down, and I'm just going to eyeball it. In general, the aspect ratio is almost the same. You're going to crop a little bit from the top and bottom, and you're going to want to do this very precisely. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it in. It's somewhere between 77 and 78% to bring it in. Right now you see there's a little, it needs to be a little bit bigger. So it's between 78 and 79. Let's see, 78.2. It's getting pretty close. You can zoom in, use spacebar to drag. Oops. Use spacebar to drag. Now we can kind of dial it in here. Let's see. Let's go. 78.3. Looking pretty close. 78.4. That's a little more. So it's like another decimal place in between these. And maybe it would be better to just drag it from the corners with shift down so you don't warp it or distort it or anything like that. Alright, so I'll let you guys kind of fine tune that. You see you're losing a little bit of pixels on the top and bottom. And let's come back to the center so we can see everything. And let's look at that wall locations again. It's completely off, 25. Great. Okay. So I'm going to now align this red square with the center of this wall. Holding down Shift to hold my horizontal position. Oh, wrong one. This one. Here we go. Holding down Shift. And that looks about good. The center of my area is between these two corners of the center of this wall. Fantastic. And of course we have lost all these pixels over here. We're going to use an object called CC Reptile. We're going to put it on this pre-composition. And we're going to expand everything left. It's a lot of pixels, so just keep on dragging. Keep on dragging. Keep on dragging. So the footage is coming all the way over here and then repeating over here. And we could see there's a seam right there. And this is on the south wall. This is the wall facing most of the desks, the office. And luckily, we have a blend function here. If we want to hide this, should you have color here, but a lot of people have just, black or white content here, so it already is seamlessly tiled. But, messing around, we could do 25%. Now we've gotten rid of that seam. And what it's doing is it's kind of mirroring over some footage and crossfading both ways, mirrored footage from inside there. Take a look at some of the stuff. Like right now, let's see it mirrored the rest of that foot over there, and then that might be too much for you. You can dial it in different settings, but to your taste. There you go. Great. So this has been oriented, and this is also now tiled, and we can see that it's where we want it. And we no longer need our wall locations. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it all together. And we don't need the red square. So let's go back over to the IC footage, and we'll hide just a red square. And we're ready to bring this over to Adobe Media Encoder. So this used to be done with an output module for After Effects, but in the Creative Cloud, they've moved all H.264 rendering to Adobe Media Encoder, which necessitates making this tutorial. I'm going to make sure that I have the right sequence open, and I am going to say File, Export, Adobe Media Encoder, and there we are. Pops right there. So let's first, I'm going to put this in my downloads. Right now it's in a Dropbox. I don't want to sync all these files in my Dropbox to start off with. And let's start, it's by H.264 by default for me, because I think that's what I was using last. And we need to go in here to the bit rate. If you remember that it is constant bit rate of 15 megabytes per second. And we don't need audio. Audio is going to be a separate stereo wave file. Let's go to the audio, and then go to the video settings at the bottom, and we have a constant bit rate of 15. And for right now, this is all we need to do right here. We're going to come back here and use the cropping function in a second. But this is good. Let's go ahead and duplicate this 5 times, because we're going to need 5 different crops. Just the limitations of the Watchout system and potentially the codec itself. Alright, so these are all fine, they're ready to go. Maybe I'll rename them. 2. Or 3. It's not very precise there. Let's see. 1. 2. Four. And 5. Great. So we come back in here. I point out the cropping settings. We hit this and come back to this document. We can see where we should be doing our cropping settings, which is the first one is we're going to work from our left to our right. So everything is fine except we need to crop off all the other ones from here. So let's type in 7,024 on the right. And that's our first video. All right. Come back in here, number 2. And what are our crop settings? Well, 2000 to 5023. 2000 5023. Next one is 4000 to 3023. To 3023. And then 6000 to 1023. 1023. Oops. 1023. The last one is smaller, just the remainder, which is just crop off everything on the left side to 8,000. So. There we go. And here we are. These are the settings. You can see that yes, we have 5 2000 by 800, and then one last 1024 by 800, and then we just zip this up and store it in the cloud and give us a link or give it to us on a thumb drive, and we'll be able to ingest it. Now your croppings will be different for your video. For the plasma screens, you're just going to make a composition that is 3 HD wide, which will have the specs in here after the Watchout information. So back down here, you'll have 3 by HD, so that's your main composition in After Effects, and then these are your cropping settings for the plasma screens. You just follow the same steps that we did before for creating the custom bitrate. And now if I hit play, these will all just process and render out, and we're done. All right.
So I have a quick addendum to this tutorial. I forgot one quick setting. So obviously we've done the cropping of the content, so that when you add in these 2000 pixel wide sections, the last one being 1024, and of course you have the 3 HDs for the plasma screens. We've done the cropping of the content, but actually what happens is that the actual video file will still be 4096. It would actually be, if it wasn't for the limitations of H.264 codec, it would actually be the entire video file. What we need to do is actually not only crop the content, but kind of then crop to the video file itself as well. So this chooses which imagery, and this is the size of the imagery. So we just need to uncheck this box to have it be basic, and we don't want them locked together, right? If this is locked, we want to unlock this because it is going to be high, 800 high, but we only want 200 or 2000, sorry. So now not only will the content be correct, but also it'll tell you how the file size will be correct as well. And then as we go along, we'll see that like the next one is cropped this section, and then we say again we want 2000 and 800, and then the final section, because of the documentation, is that it's going to be the last one will be 1024 times 800, and then again for the plasma screen walls, which are 3 HD, it's going to be 1920 by 1080. Let's scoot down right here. So 1920 by 1080 for all 3 of those for the cropping of the content. All right, and so I'll add this to the video file that's been up for 2 years incorrectly ending on YouTube, and then I will send this out to this year's crew.